Hello, today I'd like to help clarinet players learn a few physical exercises to help them advance in their fundamentals as we move forward. Now, we've tried some of these in class already, but today I want to show you where some of them are at in the book. And even though we're going to be looking at the music in the book, I don't want to be too concerned with exactly reading the notes on the page. The main concern is understanding the physical nature with our embouchure and air and hand position in order to produce these notes. Just like you learned your first language by mimicking your parents, and then eventually later on you learn the abstract symbols that represented those words that you were saying. We want to learn the physical part of the music language first, and then come back around and say, well, here's what those symbols look like. So we've already done some of that, so now we're beginning to introduce the symbols, but I'm still going to give you a lot of help. So we're going to start actually at exercise 138 in your book. Easy gorilla jumps is what it's called. And so this is the one. I'm going to go ahead and move the camera so you can see my fingers. I don't know that you'll see my face all that well, but hopefully you can see my fingers. So we're going to begin here. And first of all, notice how my fingers are arranged, right? My fingers are not on the tips like this, but instead my fingers are kind of flat. So you can see that they are covering the silver rings around each hole completely, right? They're not straight, but they're definitely not super curved. It's kind of the position if you just let your hand hang and then turn it to the side. It's just kind of that natural hand position the way that it would be, okay? And that's really important because if we have any leaks, if we start to see silver, then we're probably getting pretty close to letting some air leak out of that hole. If we have any leaks, it's going to make it very difficult for us to play these. Now my pinkies are hovering right over these keys, ready to go. I don't have them tucked back in, which would cause extra tension. So again, the pinkies are ready to go, and all my other fingers are just covering the holes. Now the first note we're going to start with an easy gorilla jumps. Starts on a low C, which was the fifth note you learned, and then we're going to just pop that register key in the back, right? While covering that hole, we're going to pop that register key open to get up to the high G. So here we go. There we go. So that's the notes for easy gorilla jumps. Okay? So we're going to go from the low note, which is a low do, and it pops up to what's a high G, which I'm not going to try to sing that, but it goes up to a high G. So let's just play it again. Here we go. In tempo with easy gorilla jumps. Back and forth between those two notes. 1, 2, ready? Now another thing that this gets you to work on is it helps you to work on your articulation. Since I'm a trumpet player, I have to worry more about my articulation on a woodwind instrument. Normally, whenever I play on my brass instrument, I just say the letter T or D inside my mouth. But on the clarinet, I have to keep my tongue high, and the tip of the tongue gently touches the tip of the reed, just like that, to interrupt the air. Now, I'm constantly pushing the air out of my lungs, but with a really quick flick of the tongue, it gives a ever so slight interruption to that air, as if I had a water faucet turned on and I took my hand just like that. You would see a slight break in the water, even though it was flowing the whole time, where my hand had broken the water. The same thing happens. Your air is flowing the whole time, but you touch the tip of the reed for just a moment. And I'm still working on making that sound as good as I possibly can, because this isn't my first instrument. So when you're doing those last two measures, you have an opportunity on that high note to tongue, to, 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 right? And work on that. All right. We are now going to jump over to, I don't like the order they teach these in, we're going to jump over to 123. It's actually called Grenadilla Gorilla Jump number 3, but for us it's going to be our second one. We started with easy gorilla jump, now Grenadilla Gorilla Jump number 3. Now this one is going to start on your low B flat like this, and I know you didn't see a whole lot moving, so maybe I'll just keep the camera like this, because really what's going on is, again, while I'm playing, all I'm doing is this, right? My thumb is covering that back hole. I've got enough of the tip up where if I just roll it just a little bit, I'm still covering the hole, but I'm also opening up that register key. All right, so let's try the Grenadilla Gorilla Jump number 3 using this fingering on the front, 1, 2, 3, and 1, low B flat. And when I hit that register key, it's going to pop up to a high F. Okay, now here we go. 1, 2, ready. So we've gone this and this. And again, even though we're reading the music, the only thing we're changing on all the exercises I'm going to show you in this video is you put down the fingering in the front and then you just hit that register key for the high note or put it back down for the low note. So you just have to read the rhythm and whether it's the high or the low note. Nothing else changes. So it's pretty simple reading. It's more physical. Am I putting my hands in the right place, not to squeak? Am I holding my embouchure with firm corners and flat chin? Am I using a good reed and have that placed well? It's all the physical things that are happening with your air and embouchure and tongue and fingers. Okay. Next, we're going to jump over to Grenadilla Gorilla Jump number 1. We're finally going to do Grenadilla Gorilla Jump number 1. All right. So this one, you guessed it, we're going to add one more finger, and now we're on the low A. And when we hit the register key, we're actually going to pop up to a note that you are going to find out here is an E. So this is exercise 119, and we're going to go back and forth from that low A to an E just by moving the register key and keeping this on in the front. 1, 2, ready? So you saw sometimes when I went from the high note back down to the low note, I squeaked because I had my embouchure 2 tenths from up and down. I shouldn't have done that. I should have again kept the corners firm and not had pressure up and down when I get to those high notes. So how did I do on my articulation there in the 7th measure? Pretty good, right? Not everyone was exactly correct. How did you do in the 7th measure? T, 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 T. Keep working on that articulation, okay? So make sure you've got a good full sound on that low note on each one of these exercises, and everything is covered, and then you see nothing in the front moves. You can barely tell that I'm moving my thumb to open that register key, and that'll just pop up to that high note as you slur up. Okay, so now let's go over to Grenadilla Gorilla Jump number 2, which is exercise 121. So you guessed it, we're going to add one more finger. And these physically do get more challenging the more fingers. There's more opportunities to not cover holes, right? We've got to cover all of 6 holes in the front, the thumb hole in the back, and any one of those things that's accidentally not covered completely could cause you to squeak. So it definitely becomes more challenging the more fingers you add on there. So here we are at a low G, and we're just going to pop that register key open to help us get up to the high D. Here we go. 1, 2, ready? I'd say I'm getting a little bit better at my articulation. I hope that you are too, right? That's the goal, is to keep getting better every single day. And even though trumpet is my primary instrument, I want to get better at every one of the instruments so that I can help you get better at each one of the instruments too. All right, now, the most challenging out of these is Grenadilla Gorilla Jump number 5. Okay, so we're actually going to skip past one of the numbers in the book, and again, because we're mostly focused on the physical, and we don't need to do that one to physically develop. If I was worried about all your note reading and stuff, we would work on that right now. But I'm worried about physically practicing what it takes to be able to get these difficult higher notes. I mean, they're difficult at first, but they're not difficult after you practice them a little while. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go look at 128, Grenadilla Gorilla Jump number 5, and we're going to see that the finger in the front, we've got all of the holes covered, and we're adding on this key, right? This is the bottom stack, right? And then this is the top stack, right? You can see how these are stacked on top of these pinky keys. So this is the bottom key of the top stack. Sometimes we call this the C key, because even though you know it as the low F, right? More commonly in music, especially as you get more advanced, you're going to play it as a C key, and that's exactly the note you're going up to, right? You play a low F. When you hit that register key in the back, it's going to pop up to a C, okay? And this is the note that they were avoiding teaching you back when everyone else was learning exercise 80, because on every other instrument, that high note in 80 is not as difficult as it is on clarinet. So they kind of had you guys play lower, while the other instruments learned a high note in 80, and they saved it till later to teach you this note. But this is going up to that note. The F fingering plus the octave key takes you up to that C. That's the same note everyone else was playing in 80 for the big airstream. All right, so let's try it. 128, Grenadilla Gorilla Jump. Rhythms are a little bit different here than they were in the other ones, but we can do it. 1. Ooh. Actually, there's some changing notes here too. And they make this definitely harder. Okay, so we're going to be doing some A's and some G's before we hit the low F. So definitely got to watch that. Here we go. 1, 2, ready? So I hope that this has been a help to you. Again, sometimes as your band director, when I go through the learning process on instruments that I'm not as comfortable with, it helps me to teach you better, because I go through some of the same struggles that you do. And so I hope that what I've gone through on the clarinet today will help you be physically prepared to be successful at all of the fun music that you have to look forward to in the future, with the different ensembles that you'll be able to be a part of and solo literature you'll be able to play. So go ahead and start working on this and get really comfortable going between those different registers. It might be a little difficult at first, but the more you do it, the easier it's going to get, and it's going to pay big dividends in your enjoyment. So keep it up. I wish you all the best, and if there's anything I can help you with relating to this or anything with your musicianship, please let me know. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.